Did you know? Most strokes in people over 65 don't happen at noon. Or in the middle of the night, they happen within the first 30 minutes after waking up. And the scary part is, many of them show no clear warning signs at all. I once sat with a woman whose eyes welled up with tears as she told me, "Sam, that morning, he had just gotten out of bed. He was going out to the garden to trim a few flowers, and he collapsed. He couldn't say a word." Her husband healthy the day before, still walking every evening, still joking with the grandkids. But in one quiet morning moment, everything changed forever. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because I know you still have so many things you want to do, to live, to enjoy. And the truth is, most of these strokes are preventable, simply by changing a few small habits in the morning. My name is Dr. Sam Wells. I've spent over 25 years working with older adults across America. I'm not here to hand you a long medical checklist. I'm here to sit down with you, like a friend, like someone who has seen too many moments lost just because of things we thought were harmless. Today, I want to share with you 6 everyday morning habits that quietly raise the risk of stroke after age 65. And chances are, you might be doing one of them without even realizing it. If you find this helpful, if you're thinking of your spouse, your mother who lives alone, or your uncle who walks every morning, please share this video. And if you want to keep walking this journey with me, if you want to protect your health with gentle, mindful steps, hit subscribe to the channel Wellness Unfolds, because every morning is a new chance to live longer, if we know how to begin it the right way. Are you ready? Then let's start your morning a little differently today. Habit 1. Drinking coffee right after waking up. A small start to a big risk. Have you ever wondered why, after your first cup of morning coffee, your heart races a bit, you feel slightly lightheaded, or your mind just doesn't feel as clear? Now, I'm not here to tell you that coffee is the enemy, but after age 65, the timing of that first cup of coffee can actually determine how safe your blood vessels, your brain, and your heart will be for the rest of the day. I remember a patient of mine, Mr. Raymond, 72 years old, living alone in Florida. He was meticulous about his routine. Every morning at 6 a.m., he'd get up, brew his coffee, and step out onto the balcony to read the paper. It sounded like a healthy, peaceful habit. But one morning, just as he lifted that cup of coffee, he suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed onto the cold tile floor. He was rushed to the hospital with a mild episode of transient cerebral ischemia. Fortunately, it left no lasting damage, but it was a wake-up call, not just for him, but for me too. Here's the issue. When you sleep, your body goes without water for 7 or 8 hours. You wake up dehydrated. Your blood becomes thicker, flows more slowly, and your heart and brain need proper hydration to get going again. Now picture this. You open your eyes after a long night's rest. You haven't had a single sip of water, and the first thing you do is flood your system with a diuretic coffee. Caffeine tells your kidneys to flush out even more water, so now your blood gets even thicker. At the same time, caffeine stimulates your sympathetic nervous system. Your blood vessels constrict. Your blood pressure spikes. What happens next? Your brain may not get enough blood. The pressure in your arteries rises. And if you already have plaque buildup or high blood pressure, this can create the perfect storm for a blood clot and potentially a stroke. Now I know someone's going to say, "But I've been drinking coffee for decades. I've never had a problem." Sure, maybe not yet. But the body after 65 isn't the same as it was at 45. Your vessels aren't as elastic. Your kidneys don't filter the same way. And your heart responds a little slower. Sometimes, one small trigger is all it takes. I once asked a group of older patients in a wellness class, if there was a habit that helped you feel more awake right away but pushed you closer to a stroke, would you keep doing it? One gentleman answered, I won't give up coffee, but I can wait. And that's exactly it. I'm not asking you to quit something you love. I'm simply suggesting let water come before coffee. Every morning, drink at least 8 to 10 ounces of water right after you wake up. Warm water is best. You can add a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of sea salt, not table salt, to help hydrate more effectively. This helps thin your blood, wake up your circulatory system, and ease the pressure on your heart and arteries. Then, wait 15 to 20 minutes before you enjoy your tea or coffee. By then, your body has caught up, your hydration is restored, and that beloved cup of coffee becomes much safer. I often tell my patients, mornings are the most sensitive time of the day. Treat them like a newborn baby. Don't force it to run before it's even opened its eyes. If you're living with an older loved one, someone who still sips coffee the moment they open their eyes, share this with them. Sometimes, all it takes is a simple conversation, a gentle nudge, to help someone avoid a stroke they never saw coming. Now let me ask you, are you willing to wait 15 minutes each morning to trade that short delay for a stronger heart and a clearer mind? Because sometimes, the best protection doesn't come from doing more. It comes from slowing down just a little. And sometimes, that small pause puts you miles ahead of a stroke that never had the chance to happen. Habit 2. Holding your urine after waking up. A small delay. A big price. Have you ever woken up in the morning with the urge to use the bathroom, but stayed in bed for a few more minutes, or maybe half an hour, just because you didn't feel like getting up? Maybe you've even thought to yourself, it's not urgent. I'll just lie here a bit longer where it's warm. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's what you need to know. That small delay, that seemingly harmless habit is putting extra stress on your heart every single morning. I had a patient, Mrs. Linda, 69 years old, a kind woman, living with her husband in Michigan. She once told me she would wake up around 5 a.m., but usually stayed in bed until close to 6, even when she really had to pee. One morning, as she was preparing breakfast, she felt dizzy. Her heart was pounding. She lost her balance and fell. Thankfully, it wasn't a stroke. It was a sudden spike in blood pressure. But when we went back through her habits, we realized she was holding her urine every morning until it became uncomfortable. Here's why that matters. When you hold your urine, your bladder expands and puts pressure on your autonomic nervous system, the system that regulates your heart rate, blood pressure, and blood vessel dilation. Your body reacts by increasing your blood pressure to cope with the internal stress. A younger person's cardiovascular system can adjust and stabilize pretty quickly. But after 60, when arteries lose flexibility, when you're already dealing with high blood pressure or diabetes, that spike in pressure is like a hammer hitting your brain. You might not feel it right away, but trust me, the numbers on your blood pressure monitor don't lie. Long-term, holding in urine also weakens the bladder muscles, increases the risk of urinary tract infections, and can lead to future issues with incontinence, especially in postmenopausal women. I know what some people might be thinking. It's just a few minutes. What harm could it do? But think about this. If you put extra pressure on your heart for 20 minutes every morning, 365 days a year, that few minutes adds up. I often ask my patients, if there were a button you could press that would instantly reduce the pressure on your heart, and it only took 2 minutes, would you press it? The answer is always yes. And I tell them, that button is the bathroom. So what's the solution? Make it your morning ritual. The moment you wake up, before opening the blinds, before checking your phone, before brewing your coffee, Get out of bed and go to the bathroom. No delays, no excuses. It's not just a matter of hygiene. It's a declaration, a way of telling your body, I'm listening to you. And for those who wake up in the middle of the night needing to go, I always recommend installing a small nightlight in the hallway, keeping slippers nearby, and having a warm robe ready. Safety doesn't come from being tough. It comes from being prepared. Mrs. Linda, the patient I mentioned earlier, made that change. And soon, her morning blood pressure began to stabilize. She smiled during a follow-up visit and said, "Doctor, I never thought something as simple as peeing early could actually save my heart." I hope you remember that too. We can't control every sudden event in life, but we can control the smalls, intentional choices we make each morning, especially during that transition from sleep to wakefulness. And sometimes, just responding to a basic signal like the need to urinate is the moment we choose the safer path. What about you? Could you start tomorrow with a few steady steps toward a calmer, less pressured morning? If the answer is yes, then we're already heading in the right direction. Habit 3. Skipping breakfast or eating too late. The silent hunger of your brain and blood vessels. Have you ever thought that eating less, or even skipping breakfast, would help you feel lighter, control your weight, maybe even make you healthier? I've heard that hundreds of times. But here's the truth: if you're over 65, skipping breakfast isn't a method of discipline. It's denying your brain and your heart the fuel they absolutely need to function. I remember one of my patients, Mr. Harold, 75 years old, a retired engineer, very disciplined. Every morning, he'd drink a cup of black coffee, and that was it. He wouldn't eat until lunch. He believed skipping breakfast helped clean out his system. One morning, while walking to the local post office, he suddenly felt lightheaded. His vision began to blur, and he lost his balance, falling to the curb. Thankfully, it wasn't a stroke. It was a mix of low blood sugar and a sudden drop in blood pressure. But what if it had been a cold morning? What if no one had been around? Here's what's going on. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body wakes up completely drained. Your blood sugar is low. Your blood is thicker. And your brain, which runs almost entirely on glucose, is now running on fumes. So your body tries to compensate by releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart starts to beat faster, and your blood pressure rises quickly. Now, if you're young and healthy, your body may ride that wave just fine. But if you're older, especially if you have any heart or vascular conditions, that hormonal shift can trigger a stroke. You might not feel anything on the first few days or weeks, but imagine driving a car on a long road and every morning starting the engine with the fuel light already blinking red. Sooner or later, the engine will wear out. And your brain is that engine. Skipping breakfast is like forcing it to run dry. Multiple studies from the US, Japan, and Sweden have shown that people who regularly skip breakfast have a stroke risk that's 18 to 36% higher than those who eat a consistent morning meal. Their risk of developing metabolic conditions like high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure also rises dramatically. Now, I'm not suggesting you prepare a 5-course breakfast every morning. All you need is something small: a slice of whole grain toast with nut butter, a ripe banana, a handful of soaked walnuts or almonds. That's enough to gently stabilize your blood sugar, keep your blood flowing, and give your brain the boost it needs. You don't need to make it fancy. Just offer your heart and your brain a kind, steady good morning. I once asked Mr. Harold after he'd recovered, if I told you that eating 1 slice of bread every morning could help you avoid at least 3 hospital visits in the next 5 years, would you do it? He smiled and said, "If only you'd told me sooner. I wouldn't have ended up on the sidewalk that morning." I'm not sharing his story to scare you. I'm sharing it so you can understand this. Strength after 65 doesn't come from pushing through hunger. It comes from taking consistent, gentle care of yourself. A simple, on-time breakfast, not fancy, not heavy, is a sign that you respect what your body needs. So I want you to try something small tomorrow morning. Before you brew your coffee or reach for your phone, eat something. Anything, even if it's just a bite. Don't let the silence of an empty stomach become a dangerous knock on your brain. Because there's a reason why breakfast has always been called the meal of life. Give your body that chance to stay strong with nothing more than a slice of bread, a spoonful of oats, or a handful of nourishment held in love. Habit 4. Getting out of bed too quickly. A simple head rush that could be your last. Have you ever had this happen? You open your eyes. It's still early. Not fully light out. Maybe you suddenly remember something you forgot to do. Or maybe you hear the birds outside. So you sit up and get out of bed fast. And then it hits you, a wave of dizziness. Your vision darkens. Your heart starts pounding. And you have to sit back down immediately. If that's ever happened to you or someone you love, I need you to really hear this. One of the most common morning habits that seems harmless, even disciplined, is jumping out of bed the moment you wake up. But for older adults, this might be one of the most dangerous morning mistakes, quietly increasing your risk of fainting, falling, or even a stroke. I remember a patient of mine, Mrs. Ellen, 67, from Arizona. She was energetic, lived alone, loved tending her vegetable garden every morning. One day, she woke up as usual, got out of bed quickly, walked toward the door, and collapsed face first onto the floor. When I asked what happened, she told me, "Sam, I don't get it. I had just woken up 5 minutes earlier. I felt fine. I don't have any major health problems." But the truth is, the body doesn't always warn us with pain. Sometimes, the warning signs are silent, and if we don't listen, they turn into something serious. While you're asleep, your circulation and blood pressure are at their lowest. Your brain is being supplied with slower blood flow. Your heart beats more gently. Blood vessels are relaxed. Your whole system is in rest mode. The moment you open your eyes, your sympathetic nervous system starts to activate. It begins preparing your body to shift from rest to action. But if you suddenly sit up or stand, blood in the upper part of your body, especially in your brain, can drop quickly. That leads to temporary oxygen loss in the brain. Your heart may not respond fast enough, and the result can be dizziness, fainting, or even a light stroke. A younger body can often bounce back, but after 60, when arteries are stiffer and your heart isn't as quick to react, this sudden transition becomes risky. You may have grown up hearing, "Wake up early, work hard." Let me adjust that a little. Wake up early, but don't rush into the day. Here's the solution I give my patients and the one I practice myself. When you open your eyes, stay in bed for 1 more minute. Breathe deeply. Feel your body waking up. Then sit up slowly. Let your feet touch the floor. Rest there for another 30 seconds. Finally, stand gently as if you're entering the day with care, not force. I call it the 3 steps of waking. Open your eyes. Sit up. Stand slowly. Each step takes only a few seconds, but gives your heart and brain time to adjust blood flow and pressure. A study from Harvard showed that over 38% of sudden morning fainting episodes in people over 65 happen within the first 3 minutes after getting up too fast. And most of them entirely preventable just by slowing down. Mrs. Ellen learned that the hard way. After her fall, she made it a new habit to sit by the edge of the bed every morning. During a follow-up visit, she smiled and told me, "Now I close my eyes for 30 extra seconds and imagine I'm listening to a soft jazz tune before starting the day." And honestly, My whole day feels calmer. You see, we don't need to rush. We need to begin the day like we'd begin a song, a gentle intro, then a steady rhythm. Don't let the peacefulness of sleep end with a risky jolt. Let getting out of bed be the first act of self-protection you give yourself, not through speed, but through awareness. Let me ask you this. Would you be willing to slow down for just 60 seconds each morning, if it meant possibly living a few years longer? If your answer is yes, then we've already started changing something big. With something very small, habit 5. Checking your phone or turning on the TV right after waking up. A jump into a mental storm. Have you ever had this happen? You open your eyes, reach for your phone just to check the time. But then your thumb slips onto a news app, and there it is. Headlines about war, accidents, rising prices, all hitting you before your feet even touch the floor. Before you've had a sip of water, your heart's already racing. Your mind is anxious. Your breath is short, and suddenly, it doesn't feel like morning anymore. I get it. We live in a hyper-connected world. News alerts, texts, photos from friends, emails. They're all waiting just one tap away. But if you're over 60 or 65, every one of those taps can be a silent shock to your cardiovascular system. I had a patient, Mr. David, 71 years old, sharp, tech-savvy, loved staying updated. His morning ritual was simple. Wake up, grab his phone, scroll through headlines, check messages from his kids and grandkids. One morning, he read a message about a young relative being in an accident, which later turned out to be untrue. But just minutes after reading it, his blood pressure spiked. His heart raced. He became dizzy, and he ended up in the hospital. Thankfully, it wasn't a stroke, but it was enough for me to look him in the eye and say what I'll say to you now. Your brain, fresh from sleep, doesn't need chaos. It needs calm. Right after waking up, your body is still in a state of transition, shifting from deep rest to full alertness. During this window, blood pressure naturally rises a bit to restart circulation. But if you flood your mind with intense content, especially negative news or stressful social media, your brain hits the alarm button. Cortisol, the stress hormone, kicks in. Your blood vessels tighten. Your heart speeds up. Your blood becomes more viscous. If you already have high blood pressure, heart disease, or hardened arteries, this is a recipe for stroke. And the sad thing, this is one of the most common morning habits, yet one of the least recognized as dangerous. During a small group session, I once asked my patients, if I gave you an alarm clock that could wake you up gently, without needing your phone, would you use it? One person smiled and said, I would, but I'm used to it now. My phone feels like my third hand. Yes, it feels familiar, but that doesn't make it right. Let me offer another picture. Imagine this. You open your eyes in the morning. Instead of reaching for your phone, you sit up slowly. You drink a glass of warm water. You pull the curtain back and let a little sunlight hit your face. You take a deep breath and feel your lungs expand gently. You may not yet know what the world has in store today, but you already know that inside, you are steady. Just 10 quiet minutes like that each morning can do what no medication can. Restore balance to your nervous system and set the tone for a stable, grounded day. If you need to check messages, give it 20 to 30 minutes after waking. Better yet, leave the phone in another room, use a separate alarm clock. The news will still be there. The world will keep spinning. But you deserve to start your morning at your own pace. Mr. David eventually made that change. He now keeps his phone outside the bedroom and uses a simple alarm clock. He drinks water, opens the window, enjoys a quiet start, and checks his phone after breakfast. And during a follow-up blood pressure check, he laughed and said, I still stay up to date every day. But now I'm the one deciding when the day begins, not the headlines. What about you? Could you give yourself 10 minutes each morning before giving your attention to everything and everyone else? Don't let the noise outside drown out the quiet power within, because every morning is an opportunity. And sometimes, the best protection you'll ever have is simply the silence that starts your day. Habit 6. Sleeping in a cold room or not controlling room temperature. When the cold sinks into your blood, not just your skin. Have you ever woken up in the early morning with freezing hands, a stiff neck and shoulders, or a heart that feels like it's beating a little slower than usual? Or maybe you've been startled awake in the middle of the night, curled up under your blanket, not quite sure why your heart was pounding, your head aching, or why your fingers felt just a bit numb. If you're over 65, this isn't just about the weather. It's your body reacting to the cold, and it could be an early warning sign of a stroke waiting to happen. I remember one of my patients, Mr. Walter, 74 years old, living alone in the mountains of Oregon. He was frugal, loved fresh air, and always kept his windows open at night. Even in winter, fresh air is good for the lungs. Doc, he used to tell me. But one morning, his neighbor found him unconscious in the kitchen. His blood pressure had dropped sharply, then spiked within 15 minutes, a textbook case of circulatory shock caused by mild hypothermia and sudden blood vessel constriction. You see, it doesn't take extreme cold to cause damage. Just letting your room temperature drop below 68 degrees C, 20 degrees C for a few hours, especially in the early morning hours, can be enough to trigger a full-body response. Your blood vessels constrict, your blood thickens, circulation slows, and conditions become ripe for a blood clot to form. For older adults, whose blood vessels are already less elastic, this kind of rapid constriction without time for the heart to adjust can result in a sudden spike in blood pressure or even a drop in brain perfusion. Both of those are dangerous paths toward a stroke. There's something I always remind my patients. Warmth doesn't just keep you from catching a cold, it keeps your blood flowing and your brain properly nourished. We often overlook this. Many seniors sleep alone. Keep the heater off to save money. Leave windows cracked open, or even sleep directly on a cold floor. But what you think you're saving today might cost you your health tomorrow. The solution, it's simple. Keep your bedroom between 70 and 74 degrees and 21 to 23 degrees. That's the sweet spot. If you don't have a heater, use a hot water bottle. Wear a long-sleeve shirt, thin socks, and use a warm but not too heavy blanket. Cover the areas that lose heat fastest: the back of your neck, your chest, and your feet. I once asked Mr. Walter, after he recovered, if wearing a light jacket in the morning could help prevent your heart from tightening up, would you wear it? He smiled for the first time in days and said, "I'm wearing it now. And I got one for my wife, too." That moment reminded me of something important. Caring for your health after 65 isn't about big, heroic efforts. It's in the light jacket, the warm mug of water, the habit of closing the window at night. Are you sleeping in a room that's warm enough? Do you know that every cold morning could quietly challenge your heart and circulation? Ask yourself, is it worth it? Is a little chill in the morning worth risking the stability of your entire circulatory system? We can't control the weather, but we absolutely can choose the kind of space we wake up in. A warm room doesn't just soothe your body, it quietly calms dangers you can't see. And sometimes, what keeps you alive longer isn't a pill, it's the simple, gentle warmth you give yourself each morning. Now, you and I have gone through 6 silent but serious morning habits that can raise stroke risk after age 65. Are you ready to take control of your mornings and your health? After age 65, the thing that makes you most vulnerable to stroke isn't your age. It's the small habits you repeat every morning. We may not be able to control our health completely, but we can absolutely choose how we start each day in a way that's safer, stronger, and more sustainable. So starting tomorrow, I want you to remember one simple thing. Don't rush. Wake up slowly. Drink water before your coffee. Go to the bathroom early. Eat a little something. Avoid screens. Keep your body warm. That's it, and yet it could protect your brain, your heart, and your future. What will you choose to change first tomorrow morning? And are you willing to share these habits with your loved ones so that you can live longer? Live healthier together. If you found this video helpful, please hit the share button. Help someone you care about. Avoid the silent risk of stroke. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Wellness Unfolds, where I, Dr. Sam Wells, will keep walking alongside you one small, powerful step at a time for a stronger, healthier life in your golden years. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll keep opening new doors to a life of vitality, clarity, and peace. Take care, and may today bring you calm, strength, and everything good.